I am on every list except the Epstein list. We haven't heard anything about that one in a while.
Tonight, the Justice Department releasing its biggest batch yet of documents related to the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein.
Thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations.
All right, let's set the scene here. It's 2023. A bunch of the Epstein files are released, and an email from Epstein emerges saying that he, quote, hung around with Hunter Biden the night that Joe Biden won the election. Now do me a favor. Just imagine the Fox News coverage on that. Would they be out here telling the American people to move on from this issue like the current president is doing?
That have nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein. And in fact, if you look at the DOJ, they announced, they released 3 million pages. It's like this is all they're supposed to be doing. And frankly, the DOJ, I think, should just say, we have other things to do, because that whole thing has turned out, I mean, other than Bill Clinton and, Bill Gates and lots of people that there are a lot of questions about it, but nothing on me. But it was even sort of better than that, because they found that Jeffrey Epstein and this sleazebag writer named Michael Wolff were conspiring against Donald Trump to lose the election. So Epstein was conspiring with a writer for me to lose the election. So right there, you know that I had nothing to do with this guy. But yeah, it's a terrible thing. The amount of time that's being wasted. When Epstein was alive, like 10 years ago, nobody cared about it. But they're only doing it. But now it's really hitting back on them because Bill Clinton is such a big part of it. The Democrats are pushing it. And the problem is that it's turning out to be the Democrats that were with and conspired with Epstein. So I think you're probably going to see a little pullback from them. But think of it. They were working together to try and help me lose the election. But this is the Oval Office, so I guess that didn't work out too well. Okay, one more.
I mean, how can you move on when there's been zero accountability? Or would they designate an Obama tan suit level amount of coverage on the situation?
This morning, there are some disgusting new allegations and details in the 3 million Jeffrey Epstein files just released. President Trump is mentioned in them more than 1,000 times, including an FBI notice about a woman who accused Trump in a lawsuit of raping her when she was just 13 years old. The DOJ says the allegations against Trump in the document are false, and he has long denied any wrongdoing related to Epstein or any allegation of sexual misconduct.
The Epstein files dropped a new eyebrow raiser, right? An affidavit in which Jeffrey Epstein claimed that he was, quote, hanging with the Trump boys during the 2016 campaign has been released. And according to the court documents and depositions from Epstein's inner circle, there are more claims that Epstein was associating with members of the Trump orbit in 2016. In one release, it was stated that Epstein was, quote, hanging with the Trump boys. Now, the phrasing, of course, is vague, and that matters, right? Hanging with the Trump boys can mean any number of things, from casual socialization to an event or something more ambiguous. But, well, it's the public response, right, or absence of one in specifically conservative media outlets that is pretty telling here. Because imagine a name like Biden or Obama appeared in a similar context. I mean, hell, imagine that Obama or Biden appeared 38,000 times like Trump did. The conservative media world would break into butthurt emails level of pandemonium.
It's kind of like the Scooby-Doo meme where, they pull the mask off the bad guy. Well, the mask is being pulled off, and the Make America Great Again isn't really about America or the American people. It's not about the American people.
How did Trump fall into that trap? I mean, it seemed like he was so leading the charge with MAGA, and he was going to be the one draining the swamp. And instead, he's definitely become a giant swamp creature, the leader of the swamp at this point. But somebody's got to be influencing him, or people around him have to be convincing him that going to war with Iran is the right thing to do, which is totally and completely insane.
Well, I question that myself, knowing I know the president. Worked with him for quite a few years, traveled with him, campaigned with him, visited him, talked with him on the phone, text message with. I mean, I know the president. I don't know. People always think, oh, it's his staff. They want to blame everyone around him. There may be a point where people have to come to grips with this is Donald Trump.
I mean, they'd call for public tribunals, for lie detectors, whatever it took. But yet here we have Trump's cronies going on Fox News claiming that, well, it's not a crime to party with Epstein, is it?
Well, as some of the people we saw on camera at the rallies, is there any chance that any of these individuals who partied with Epstein and engaged in, relations with minors will be prosecuted?
Well,
Any
look,
chance?
I'll never say no, and we will always investigate any evidence of misconduct. But as you know, it is not a crime to party with Mr. Epstein, and so as horrible as it's not a crime to email with Mr. Epstein. And some of these men may have done horrible things, and if we have evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But it's also the kind of thing that the American people need to understand, that it isn't a crime to party with Mr. Epstein. It isn't a crime to have
Didn't look like that's all that was going on some of those photos. I mean, if the photos could speak, some of them look pretty bad.
That's right. And unfortunately, photos can't speak. And so we need witnesses and we need
Are there
evidence
videotapes that you all have? Or
It's so pathetic and hypocritical, right? And this comes after another of Trump's ploys to deflect from his own relationship with Epstein blew up in his face. The Clintons, who everyone in the Trump media circle was trying to deflect to, agreed to sit for recorded depositions later this month. Hillary scheduled for February 26th and Bill Clinton on February 27th. But not just that, right? Hillary is out here calling out Republicans by name. She's not just quietly complying. She is calling for a public hearing on camera in front of the American people, and therefore claiming that Republicans, they should bring it out in the open if they believe they've committed any wrongdoing.
Here is just some of what we've been hearing from Comer about what he expects to get out of this. And Robert Garcia, the top Democrat on this panel, who just a few moments ago was basically saying that Comer was stringing this out and he didn't really know what to do once the Clintons said, you know what, we'd be willing to do it. Take a listen.
We're going to ask questions I think 99% of all Americans want to know, their relationship, the knowledge. We're trying to figure out how, number one, Jeffrey Epstein accumulated so much wealth, and number two, if they had any knowledge about the sex trafficking operations or anything like that.
At this point, it looks like oversight Republicans and James Comer are really playing political games. I feel like he doesn't want to hear from the Clintons. I think he would rather try to send Bill Clinton directly to jail and not hear from him than actually let them actually speak to what they know.
That then begs the question, what about Trump? For months, the White House has tried to cast the Epstein probe as a partisan attack on him and his allies. But the Clintons stepping forward publicly, it dilutes Trump's political framing that it's all just an attack on him, right? Trump signed the Epstein Files Transparency Act last year after a lot of pushback and movement behind the scenes, but yet we're still waiting for the full release, as it seems like one redacted email at a time is getting unveiled, all of which poses the same question that we've been asking over and over again. It now becomes even more poignant with the Clintons stepping into the limelight. If you have nothing to hide, why the relentless deflection? Why the avoidance? Why the attacking of journalists asking questions on this matter? Why not take a leaf out of your good mate Bill Clinton's book, Donald, and sit for a public hearing? You too, Don Jr., if it's all just a sham, go ahead and prove it.
We're going to get great ratings in your show.
Trump is surrounded by women as music blares in the background. After a while, Trump goes to greet 3 new guests. Among them, the financier Jeffrey Epstein.
Come on in. Go inside.
More than a decade before his guilty plea on state prostitution charges. Later in the footage, Trump is seen talking to Epstein and another man as women are dancing in front of them. Trump alternates between dancing and pointing out women to Epstein and the other man and telling Epstein about the cameras. Though exactly what they say is difficult to understand as they discuss the women and their appearances, Trump gestures to one and appears to say to Epstein, "Look at her back there. She's hot." And then Trump says something else into Epstein's ear that makes him double over with laughter. But as the president says now, he never liked Epstein.
I was not a...
Because the Epstein files claim that Epstein was, quote, hanging with the Trump boys as recent as 2016 after all of this back and forth about how Trump alienated him from Mar-a-Lago years ago. then this is now a documented allegation in public filings. So if you truly believe there's nothing here, then you should come forward and answer to that. And when you think about it, if the name was Obama or Biden in that very same claim, you know the outrage machine would be running full volume and overtime coast to coast.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.